good. Yeah, they're all good. So, yeah, every one of them. Treadwell, Thielen, Diggs, Rudolph, the backs, quarterback. They could pick. They're all good.
Football! Football! Yeah! Gotta eat football.
All right, it is our once a week visit to Declan's film room, which is a terrible thing to have.
Not on a good day. Maybe not the best choice of words on a day like today.
Sure. That'll be still pictures, guys. Don't worry about that.
It's called Dex Reviews. He once reviewed a bidet. Lately, he's been reviewing quarterback prospects. And I get that the percentage chance of the Vikings drafting a quarterback in the first round, pretty low at this point, but it doesn't mean we can't explore the possibilities.
Absolutely.
So what are we reviewing today, Declan?
We're rolling the tide. We're going with Mac Jones, quarterback from Alabama. Mac
football.
Jones.
On the rise. Stock climbing from what I'm told by my sources.
Yeah, sources. I talked to a scout. He gave me a very brief one-sentence answer on Mac Jones. We'll get to that here in a bit.
Oh, wow.
But just a one-sentence answer on him.
All right, well, let's start with your main takeaway after watching Mac Jones.
Sure. So the things I liked about him, I watched that college football playoff where Alabama just absolutely rolled over them. The first play I noticed that I really liked, it was towards the goal line, and it was a little Brett Favre in him and a little shovel pass. I don't know if you saw this. I think it was in the first or second series of the national championship game. I love me a good Brett shovel pass, man.
Need me a little Brett Favre in any future Vikings quarterback. Just a little Brett Favre.
Our scouting report started with a shovel pass.
You're damn right it did.
Can we get an arm strength, please?
No.
Yeah, I'll get there.
Listen, a quarterback who can't properly shovel pass isn't a quarterback worth having on the Vikings roster.
I agree.
Shovel pass makes me very concerned.
I'll get really nerdy. I liked his feet. No happy feet. No happy feet in the pocket. He stood there. His feet were poised and in control. I like the feet. The feet were also very, very good there. A lot of the simple things really well. He can check down. He's not going to force a pass down.
If he can check down, he'd be a great Vikings quarterback. There's been a legendary list of check down quarterbacks.
Sam Bradford.
I mean, and you're talking about just a big body of a quarterback here, 6'2", 205 pounds. I mean, this is a...
He can see over the line of scrimmage.
Prototypical QB, baby. This is 1996.
Did you tell what his hand size was from watching?
I did not. I need to get the diameter on the hand size. I didn't get the hips, the diameter on the hips, which I would have liked to know.
Are they oily
hips? I got to know that. Those are the things I liked about him. Things I didn't like. He has a tendency to stare down the wide receiver. He likes to look at the number one target, and then if the number one target isn't there, sometimes the play doesn't go according to plan. Maybe that will remind you of someone as I get to my comp here in a little bit.
Although, in fairness to him, if you have a receiver like he has at Alabama, you can probably just stare him down all day, and it doesn't matter.
That was also that was in my negative category. He has the best receiver in college football, so his numbers are great, but I think they're inflated by literally the best wide receiver in college football.
That's making me concerned.
He is the product, I think, of a typical Alabama quarterback. Let me run down the list of Alabama guys here. Now, before Mac Jones, it was Tua Tagovailoa.
I just call him Tua.
Tua. And Jalen Hurts. Two guys who are in the NFL right now and guys who hopefully should have pretty decent NFL careers. But look at the guys before Jalen Hurts. Blake Barnett. Cooper Bateman.
This is such like Alabama schoolboy names.
Jake Cocker, Bateman. Blake Sims, AJ McCarron, classic AJ McCarron, Greg McElroy, Brody Croyle, just a classic Alabama quarterback.
You got to go back and find Joe Willie Namath. That's the Bama quarterback.
You got to go all the way back. Even Freddie Kitchens, for God's sakes, was the quarterback there for 3 years in the 90s.
100 pounds earlier.
In the 90s?
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Oh my God! Really?
So also he threw 464 yards in that national championship game, but 296 went to Adams and then Najee Harris on check down. So really, he was throwing it right to his best receiver and he was checking down. The running back was getting a lot of yak after the catch. So it really kind of inflated his numbers.
he just sits in the Ferrari and turns the key basically, right?
And with no mobility.
Okay,
zero mobility.
I'm sorry about that, but that's a major problem for me.
All right. So the scout, I texted a scout and I asked, hey, I need a little report. What do you think about Mac Jones at Alabama? It's one sentence answer. Very solid player.
Screw you. Stop texting me.
Not yet. I shot
you up.
Nope. I didn't go there yet.
Yeah. I texted the scout. You up?
By the way, when I get a no response, I don't continue to pester them with 62 messages.
Football film and chill.
Why aren't you responding to me? Frown face.
My God.
Crotch pick.
Are you mad? Are you mad at me, Scout?
Scout tells me very solid player, but I don't love him as an NFL prospect. That was what the scout told me.
Perfect. Just sign the Vikings
This
up.
is it.
Yeah.
Yep. This is absolutely awesome.
Honestly,
Second round, Vikings are going to tie their next 10 years to him. It'll
and
be
my
great.
comp, I think best case scenario, he becomes Kirk Cousins.
Wow.
Best case scenario, he becomes Kirk
Hold on a
Cousins.
sec.
The
Now we're,
irony.
No mobility.
talking.
No mobility. Tendency to stare down his number one wide receiver.
I don't
Freaks
know.
out when things don't go wrong.
I think Kirk is to the point where he can look guys off now. I don't think
But when he's panicked and he doesn't know what to do, he locks in on who? Thielen every single time. And he doesn't know what to do. He has no mobility. I'd steer clear from a first round.
Wait, hold on a second. I saw Kirk run with my own two eyes a few times, and he chugged along
Gus
pretty
Frerotte
well.
also ran two times. It ran so hard into a wall, he got a concussion. So, I mean, I love me some
He was
Gus
trying to be
Frerotte.
funny by headbutting the wall.
That's not a knock on my guy Gus, okay? But for God's sakes, he has zero mobility. So I would steer clear from Mac Jones. Is the Dex reviews here?
What if he fell to the third round? Which is, I think that's a possibility. Like he would fall to the third round.
Mac Jones or Kyle Trask? If they both fall to the third round and they're both there, and you could take one, which do you take?
I would probably take Trask.
I think I'm going with Trask too.
Okay.
I think Trask is a better project quarterback than Mac Jones. And
But
Mac
not
Jones
in the
is
first round.
But not in the first round. I'm steering clear, Big Tuna, from Mac Jones. No way.
Football.
Can't do it. I can't do it.
That was good, Dex.
Dex reviews Mac Jones style. So
Your scout was awesome.
I love the scouting takes that you're gathering.
Yeah, I got sources. My Doogie hat on. I got my sources.
If we find out that you're fudging scouting reports and actually
You still up?
No.
Yeah, you still up?
No.
Can you talk some more? What's wrong?
Want to watch ER? No, I don't know.
Are you mad at me still?
Yeah. Yikes. Hey, by the way, so I tweeted this out yesterday. So someone DM'd me, speaking of DMs, someone DM'd me on Instagram, a friend of mine, and she's been talking to this guy who is a big fan of SKOR North. And in fact, to the point where she name dropped me and it got credit to him in their relationship. But now she's panicking that he's not really into her, and he's more focused on drinking seltzers with us and wants to be part of the SKOR North crew.
So he's only with her because he knows that she's friends with you and the show.
Yes.
So you get a secondary assist for keeping their relationship
This sounds
going.
like a curb. This sounds like a plot for a secondary plot for a curb.
Another example that I am Larry David in reincarnation.
So she originally thought that it was cool that she got credit for name dropping our show, but now she's concerned that our show is the entire reason why he basically keeps going out with her.
Yes.
Oh, this is
it's setting up for a curb plot, but what would have to happen for it to be a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode?
Nothing, because Curb is great at basically taking a storyline like that, and she's just going to be paranoid, and in the end break up with him because she's convinced he loves us more than her. That's the Curb thing. It's Seinfeld.
What's going to happen is he probably will end the relationship, and he'll be on vent line here in a couple of weeks with us drinking seltzers. So that might
venting
be a thing.
about the relationship.
Venting about the relationship. SKOR North After Dark.
That's the curve.
I'm going to put money on this.
Or she makes
breaks
an
up with him
appearance on vent line, and he
That
hears
would
it
be better.
and complains.
Oh my God, that'd be so much better.
Yes. And what if she had great sports takes that beat his takes, and
She does.
we
I think she
liked
does.
her more as a sports fan?
I think she does.
And so he breaks up with her based on sports knowledge, which could be a major problem.
This is great.
Boys, before we wrap with Royce, every Tuesday we are opening up the proverbial mailbag. Ask Mackie and Judd. And we are open for whatever you want to ask us, whether it's a Minnesota sports question, if it's something behind the scenes, if it's about, we like to talk about like the media landscape. I think we had a good time with that Fox Sports North Sinclair discussions. If you have questions about literally anything, tweet them at me, at Phil Mackey, at Dex's tweets, at Jay Zolgad, and just, I don't know, include the Ask Mackie and Judd phrasing in some way so we can put it in our bag. So let's rapid fire through a couple of these here. Jaden wants to know, what is the most annoying part of every Minnesota franchise in your guys' opinion?
So going down the list, or one common thing?
I think he wants one for each team quickly. Like annoying word association, basically. Like for the Twins, it would be they never trade their top prospects for established players.
Always saying wait 2 years.
Yep.
Wait 2 years.
I think for the Vikings, it's how comfortable they are with being good.
Yeah, it's good.
Not
It's
great.
good, not great.
think
Yeah,
that's
that's
accurate.
exactly what I was going to say.
The Timberwolves,
Wild?
it's literally their existence and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
The Wild?
Hanging on to the past.
No. Furious rallies, man. They can never, ever make life simple. It's always got to be, okay, we're down by 5 goals. Now we can start our comeback.
We're down 3-1
Or
in the
we're down-
series.
yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's come back now. That is the most annoying Wild trait possible. It's like, can you ever just like comfortably do something? Yeah, the Wolves, the poor Wolves.
Go for football. I don't know. I almost feel like go for football the last 15 years,
It's
like
changed.
they've kind of like maxed out what they're.
I mean, with
probably capable of.
Mace, it was chokes, but now not so much.
Go for basketball. I think it's just that like you never know who the players are because they're just built on transfers every year.
Yeah,
They just always have like
Gophers
3
are
new
harder.
starters that were transfers that you've never heard of.
the Gophers are more difficult. I think the Wild Wolves, Twins, and Vikings are pretty simple.
Sam in Australia asks, "Who is your favorite all-time musical act, and if applicable, your favorite album of all time?" He says his is Springsteen, and the album is "Let Me Come Over" by Buffalo Tom.
Buffalo Tom. That's a great 90s callback.
Buffalo Tom.
Buffalo
I've never
Tom,
heard
good
of
band.
Buffalo Tom.
Very good band. Early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
All right. So what is your and I think the musical act and the album can be different musicians or bands, but what do you guys go with?
I'm going to go with Beatles for my favorite band of a lot of bands. And I'm actually going to do a weird one here. One of my favorite album might be Liz Phair, 1991-ish, Exile in Guyville, which was a response to the Rolling Stones' Exile on Main Street, and is a absolutely low budget but fantastic album / CD.
Okay. Declan?
I would say, I mean, I'm kind of with Jed. I really, really like the Beatles. I grew up with the Beatles. My dad loved the Beatles. But to be the typical millennial, I will actually go with Kid Cudi for the album, and that would be A Kid Named Cudi. Or excuse me, Man on the Moon. A Man on the Moon. There's a lot of good Kid Cudi albums that I liked. But
Kid
growing
Cudi.
up, Kid Cudi, he's a rapper from Cleveland. I think if you were born between 1990 and 1996, you probably spent a good portion of your high school driving around listening to Kid Cudi with your high school friends.
Okay.
So
I missed
that'd be
that
mine.
window.
Yeah,
by
yeah,
a
just
few
a little
years.
bit.
I am not familiar with Kid Cudi.
And then recent, I always like change my like favorite artists. Like and
Me
like
too.
right now, I'm kind of like in a bigger
It's
country.
Creed now.
It's no, it's not. I'm in a bigger country fan.
Matchbox
so
20.
I would say I'm a big fan of Maren Morris. I love Maren Morris. I saw her live at the Armory about a year ago this time.
Props to you for including a female artist on your list too.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of guys like they
That's what I just did.
it's almost like I didn't even know what bands you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Liz
to be honest
Phair
with
is
you.
half
Liz
of my
Phair
know,
is
yeah.
fantastic.
You said Beatles. I was like, oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
what I know.
No, Liz Phair is absolutely great.
I would say Maren Morris, and then I love Chris Stapleton, which I know Mackie, that might be on Mackie's list too, though.
Yeah, so my current favorite artist is Chris Stapleton. My old school, like long-term favorite artist or band is Aerosmith. And then this is gonna be my favorite album sort of rotates, but I recently re-listened to the Metallica S&M album.
Wow.
Where
Yeah.
they did, I think it was the San Francisco Orchestra. They did like a live
Yeah.
recording of all their hits, like all their greatest hit songs
Mhm.
with an orchestra. So that's the one that's on the top of my head right now. I love that Metallica album. It came out in the late 90s and it is excellent. So
Interesting. Perhaps a small controversial take. On an island, if you told me I could only have one gender of artist to listen to, I'm going female.
is it just because of
I
the
think
island
female-
vibes?
Because
Or
you're
what?
alone. What?
No. I'm telling you, I honestly believe that the best albums and songs put out are done by women, not men.
I don't think that's a hot take.
I don't think it's a hot take at all.
Yeah, I think what happens is a lot of guys have a
bros won't like
complex.
it.
They have a complex that like they don't want to be viewed as uncool when they throw their musical. So a lot of guys will throw out Bruce Springsteen because he's like manly and everyone loves Bruce Springsteen, right? But if I were to tell you, like, I actually
I can't stand Springsteen.
Really?
But
Yeah.
like a lot of guys throw out Springsteen
Right, I
and
got you, though.
Creedence Clearwater Revival and Led Zeppelin, right?
CCR is great.
Yeah.
When really, like, I kind of like Carly Simon.
Oh,
Yeah,
Carly Simon's fantastic.
I
Carol
love Lady,
King?
Love Lady Gaga.
Give me some.
Gaga's awesome.
Carol King.
Give me some
Uh-huh.
Linda Ronstadt from the 70s. Give me
yeah.
some Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound
Okay, now
Machine from
you've
the
got
80s.
now,
all
now
right?
you've gotten way too far.
Tracy Chapman? Come on.
Oh, Fast Car.
It's one of the best songs of all time.
She's great.
Colorado Truck Guy asks Mackie and Judd, have you guys ever got into an argument where you were actually pissed at each other? The only one I can really think of, and I'd have to think more on this, is when Judd said a few years ago that the Vikings made a mistake not drafting Aaron Rodgers in the first round of the
Terrible.
2004 draft
with 2
or
picks.
5 draft.
With 2 first-round picks.
And that was definitely a sports argument, but I was legitimately like
Upset
mad that he was
saying that thing.
standing in that area of take.
No.
Um,
I haven't gotten pissed at you guys. There's been times I've been annoyed. But I've annoyed you for sure. So that definitely goes 2 ways. But I
That's
don't think I've
different.
been pissed. No, I don't think I've been upset.
I'd have to like go back and listen. We actually have a bunch of archives from like old Mackie and Judd shows.
I feel like we used to fight a little bit more at the outset of when we started together,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
and we just don't as much now
So
because
sometimes
you can't force it.
sometimes
That's bad.
when we first started doing the show together in 2014, I think it's been 7 years. It'll be the Monday after the Super Bowl. It'll be 7 years.
Okay.
And I was coming from being with Patrick Royce for 4 years, and I loved working with Pat, but it's also sometimes it was a little bit frustrating working with Pat. Sometimes like the benefits far outweighed like the frustration. But I remember at that point in my career, I was like, my God, like I just want like a normal like conversation flow sometimes. And sometimes Pat will just take things off the rails. And like, it was more of me just being young. And so the first couple of years of Mackie and Judd, I feel like for me personally, it was like, we got 4 hours and I need to like, I've got thoughts on things and I'm going to like,
And then it was 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then 2 years in, you're like, oh my God, we got 4 hours.
yes. But for the most part, like we get along. Judd and I have been friends like many years before we did a show together. And so like if we get mad at each other on the show about something, it never like carries over where we're like, you hear these stories about like Mike and the Mad Dog didn't talk for a month. It's like, that's stupid.
Or guys getting fights, like literal fights. That's my favorite.
We always have like
Want to take it outside?
right. Like, who was that one show that literally did do you want to step outside on their show?
Yeah.
And we're like dropping
It was like in
F-bombs a
Boston
couple
or
months
something.
ago. Yeah.
Shocking. East Coast.
Like cool. Like
Didn't
awesome
someone on
guys.
Super Bowl row, like the Houston guys, didn't that happen this year?
Yeah.
Or when it was here, I mean?
We saw that.
That was
Yeah.
Josh Innes and I can't remember the other guys on the other morning show, but yeah. Josh Innes is basically just like a sports shock jock who gets fired every year.
Yeah, because he got on the phone and went over to the other table with the guy who was hosting his show back to Houston, and it was a former Texans player.
Yeah.
It was a former player. I don't
remember the guy's
remember
name.
his name, but he like confronted him with his cell phone, and he
Yeah.
got kicked off Radio Row,
Yeah.
and then like went to what was that Denny's to do the show. He did like
yeah, there was a
2
Denny's
shows
in Bloomington or
from
something.
Denny's.
God.
Yeah. And our guy, Matt Thomas, was collateral damage. So his show got removed because of that
That's right.
morning show getting removed. But yeah, we are actually friends off microphone. So we don't really like get into huge fights. But so if you guys have questions for us about anything, could be Minnesota sports, we are going to open the question mailbag on Tuesdays. Ask Mackie and Judd. We're bringing it back here for the first time in a couple of years. Should we try and track down our friend Patrick Royce here?
Let's do it.
See what he's up to? Okay.